We're looking at an image in which the bottom portion is dark and underexposed. We want to be able to change the levels of brightness and contrast at the bottom of the picture in a smooth fashion that does not affect the levels of brightness and contrast at the top. Our first task is to create a mask for the image layer. We're using the Layers tab, and we're going to right-click on the layer that has our image, and that'll produce a submenu, and we're going to come down that menu to the selection for Add Layer Mask. We click on Add Layer Mask, and that brings up a little choice here of what kind of mask. We're going to leave it at the default of a white full opacity. And when we come back over, we see that the mask is now in place next to the thumbnail of the image itself. We don't need to select the mask because it's already selected by default. So we are now working on the mask. We're using the Blend tool, and we're leaving it set on the default values. If yours are not on the default values, you need to have it set to a black to white gradient, and it should be a linear mode. But if you haven't fooled with it to do something else, those are the default values that it'll be set in automatically. And we're just going to drag across the what looks like the image from top to bottom, but we're actually dragging across the mask so that any changes that we make by using the Blend tool are actually changes to the mask rather than to the image. So we go top to bottom, and you'll see that when you let off of that it creates a transparency at the top. And actually, again, this is a reminder, we're working on the mask, not on the image. But what it's showing you is that the bottom portion of the picture will be fully affected by any changes that we make in the levels, and the top portion will not be affected at all. And you can see it gradually blends from the top, full transparency, into the bottom, which is fully opaque. And if you want to look again at the mask itself, you can see that the transparency and the blend tool actually shows on the mask. From here, we're going to go to the Layer command in the menu, and we want to select Layer, and then Mask, and then Mask to Selection. And what happens at this point is that you can see that the selection crawling ants have appeared about halfway down the screen. So it gives you an idea of which portion of the picture we have selected. We basically have selected the bottom portion of the picture. And at this point, we don't need that mask anymore. So we're going to go down and delete the layer mask. We did that by right-clicking on the mask and then saying delete mask. You notice it's gone now from the Layer tab. And we are now working on the image rather than the mask. So when we adjust the levels, we are adjusting the levels of the image. If this were a critical picture, it would probably be better to do it on a duplicate copy rather than the original. And you can see on the left side of the screen here the levels change in the image as we move the sliders. Here's the finished product. We're going to get rid of the selection, and you can see that this is considerably lighter than it was originally.